Picture your phone buzzing with one lonely XRP price alert. Now, imagine that tiny ping turning in kind of modest stack of digital coins into life-changing cash, faster than you can say SEC who. Now, this might just shock you, but I am not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. Your investments are entirely your responsibility and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses. And this video today is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Okay. Legal eagles fed, let's feast on the juicy stuff. So there I was last night, bleary-eyed at 2 AM, doom scrolling through the charts and half-finished bowls of popcorn. Now my usual kind of crypto bedtime ritual, right? This is when Crypto Beast's new kind of post slapped me awake harder than a triple espresso. Now he said, plain as day, XRP holders are about to make a lot of money. That's pretty bold, right? But here is the kicker. He kind of backed it up with a gigantic symmetrical triangle stretching across 7 long dramatic-filled years. So you know those kind of movies where the hero kind of winds up the kind of slingshot for the kind of what feels like forever, right? And you're yelling at the screen, just let it rip already. And that's XRP right now, pulling back, trembling, waiting for the elastic to snap. And let me tell you, the triangle isn't some doodle on a napkin either. Now, the first time that XRP did this trick, it was back in the ancient days of 2013 to 2017. It broke out and sprinted from literally pocket change to what felt like a moonshot at the time. I still remember kind of watching in disbelief as prices leapt like a caffeinated kangaroo. 6-cent highs turned into $3.80 mania almost overnight. Now, my kind of barber, who usually kind of chats soccer scores, suddenly wanted the secret sauce on buying the dip. It's his classic top signal. But the point stands. Triangles plus patience, it equals fireworks. So fast forward to now. After the SEC legal saga finally kind of coughed up that July 2023 ruling, Judge Torres declaring that XRP is not a security on the secondary market, the market kind of partied hard for about 5 minutes, right? A 90% rally, and then everyone kind of went back to sleep, convinced that that was kind of the big climax, right? Meanwhile, of course, the kind of real kind of piece de resistance, actually was still marinating. It's kind of like, planning a wedding, cutting the cake early and forgetting the DJ hasn't even played Sweet Caroline yet. Right, folks, the kind of dance floor is still empty and the band has only just turned up. So let's zoom into the numbers because stats are like GPS in the world of crypto jungle, or at least the wild of the crypto jungle, right? Now, we're kind of hovering around $2.20 at the point of recording this. By the way, guys, this is a pre-recording because I'm actually over in New York at the moment, so price may be a little bit different. So giving off all of the vibes, I guess, of the kind of calm before the storm, right? Now, Crypto Beast calls $8 the you must be this tall to ride minimum target. And EGRAG, the other kind of chart wizard here, sees $19 as the kiddie pool edge, right? A 263% hop to $8. It kind of feels like a brisk jog compared to the past bull market marathons, right? A 763 sprint to, at least percent sprint to $19. That's Everest, baby, right? And we're kind of, I guess, summit crazier peaks before, right? Or at least we have seen them. And we've got to remember when people kind of laughed at $1 Bitcoin, right? Neither do I, but, because that was what some of us could actually count past 10, right? Or couldn't back then. And yet history books, they swear that it could actually happen. Now, let's address the elephant tap dancing in the room then, right? Hasn't everyone already priced in the lawsuit win? And the short answer is no, right? Long answer is, think of it like discovering Wi-Fi at a campsite, right? The first reaction is a small cheer, a quick Instagram post, and then you forget about it until your battery's dying, right? Market psychology works pretty much the same way, right? We got our kind of quick rally, but the deep kind of world-changing implications of regulatory clarity, that takes months, sometimes years, to kind of trickle through big money pipelines. So pension funds, they don't move on tweets, right? They move on white papers, compliance checkboxes, and 12 layers of legal counsel sipping herbal tea. So it's a personal story time, right? Back when XRP was stuck in no man's land at 40 cents, I bought a pretty decent bag. Nothing too heroic, but enough to feel the kind of sting if I kind of tanked, but not enough to cry into my kind of cornflakes in the morning. Every kind of holiday since, uncle kind of calls me, corners me, in fact, you know, with that kind of look. So, Mr. Internet Money, how's the Ripple thing? And last Christmas, I hit him with a lawyer joke. Better call Judge Torres, right? And he didn't get it. Of course he didn't get it. But that's kind of fine, because what comes next is a family gathering, right? Or the next family gathering. If crypto kind of beast triangle does its thing, then I may need security to keep the turkey vultures, you know, at bay. Now let's kind of dissect the triangle like high school kind of biology then. Imagine XRP's price chart tracing two converging blades. Each kind of swing lower gets kind of a bit higher. Each kind of swing higher drifts a little bit lower, right? Until, of course, price squeeze is like toothpaste. Now, technical analysts, they call this coiling energy, right? My non-technical brain kind of calls it the moment before kind of popping bubble wrap. It's all tension, there's no release, and everybody's kind of leaning in, right? So historically, right, breakouts of big multi-year triangles, they tend to overshoot because they've stored up so much kinetic oomph, and that's the correct term, of course, oomph. Now, you've got to keep in mind, keep it like pulling back a rubber band for 7 years and then letting it go. That sting on your fingertips, right? Now, the bulls, they feel it in their portfolios, but in a good way. Still, of course, triangles, they don't print Lambos. Now, we need catalysts. Enter the Exhibit A, the macro enthusiasm. Wall Street finally discovered crypto isn't just digital kind of Chuck E. Then you got cheese tokens, right? Now, spot Bitcoin ETFs, they blew the door open in early 2024, right? Whispers of an XRP-based cross-border payment ETF are already swelling faster than rumors of a high school dance. Then you've got Exhibit B, right? Global remittance markets worth north of $650 billion are hunting for faster, cheaper rails. Now, RippleNet's on-demand liquidity is basically the Amazon Prime of payments. Blink and the money is there. So if legacy banks start feeling the FOMO, you should probably buckle up. But here is the relatable problem that each of us face, right? That is analysis paralysis. I mentioned this a lot. Now, you need one bullish thread, you know, feel invincible, right? And then 3 bearish headlines later, you're convinced your coins are going to zero. And that's kind of being stuck between ordering the salad, safe and boring, or the triple kind of cheeseburger, delicious risk. Now, my strategy here is that I kind of call it the sleep at night allocation. That's enough skin in the game to celebrate, enough dry powder to buy the dips, and enough off-button discipline to close the chart app before bed. Now, because trust me, staring at 5-minute charts at 3 AM is how you end up hallucinating bullish kind of, I guess, candles on your bedroom ceiling. Now, let's lighten the mood with a quick Blofin shout out. Now, that's the exchange that I use when I want to kind of swap some dusty altcoins into fresh XRP without paying gas that feels like renting a yacht. For full disclosure though, and a big thanks, that's an affiliate link in the description. So if you click it, not only do you get discounted trading fees, maybe a few sign-up bonuses, but a slice of the Blofin pie actually keeps this channel alive, caffeinated, and if I had an editor, it would probably keep them, you know, editing. So why don't you give it a try? Let me know what you think. It's kind of like a win-win. It costs nothing to you and it keeps the lights on here. Okay, back to the charts. Elliott wave enthusiasts, which is me basically, and a few people down in our Discord. These are people who kind of see ocean tides when or when other people kind of see squiggly lines. Now, the thing with Elliott Wave is it basically tracks people's behavior. It works beautifully well if drawn correctly. It's quite difficult to implement, but if you get it right, it works very, very well. Anyway, Elliott Wave enthusiasts like myself, we're drooling over a potential fifth wave pattern. Now, in plain English, if the wave structure kind of plans out, then we've got this euphoric final sturge that melts resistance like butter on the Dubai sidewalk. In July, of course. Now, waves, they can be tricky. Miscount one and, you know, sub-wave is off and you're kind of surfing in a faceplant, right? It's quite tricky to get right. But that's why Crypto Beast promises to kind of cool the top, right? When things start overheating. Will he? Who knows? I keep a sticky note, of course, near my monitor saying pigs get slaughtered. Translation is that taking some profits on the way up isn't cowardice. It's actually survival. All right, let's go ahead and sprinkle some stats for the math lovers. Now, I jump from kind of $2.20 to $8. It kind of, or at least a jump from $2.20 to $8. That's, you know, about $281 billion to XRP's market cap. That's not capital required, by the way. I would say you probably only need $50 billion of liquidity to equate to around $281 billion of market cap, right? So there's a difference here between liquidity, capital inflows, and market cap. Market cap is just price, right? Macro level pricing. Liquidity is what's driving your price. So understanding that $281 billion of market cap, you know, it sounds crazy, but it doesn't take that much capital to actually push the number that high. There's a lot of things you can dig into this. There's more articles and stats and things you can be found in the Discord, or just hit up Google and you can find the market cap liquidity inflows, capital inflows, market cap multiplier. In XRP cases, it has seen extreme cases of 600 times more money added to the market cap than the capital inflows. So understanding if you just took a small multiplier and applied it, you kind of get to some pretty crazy market cap math. But this isn't a market cap video. So if you want to know more about it, head into the free Discord that is linked in the description. Now, 281 billion to XRP's market cap, pushing it into the territory, of course, where media outlets won't be able to ignore it. Headlines like XRP flips Ethereum, they will start trending again. And suddenly, your dentist is humming hodl jokes, right? Now, at $19, we are talking about an additional trillion plus, you know, that kind of level of, you know, market cap forces policymakers and bank CEOs and your grandmother's bridge club to kind of start paying attention. And attention equals adoption, which kind of circles back to the price, the flywheel kind of 101. But none of this manifests without time, patience, and frankly, psychological resistance, right? Or I should say actually resilience, but you know, either way it kind of works. Now, the market would of course test every nerve ending that you have. You got to remember last November when Trump's surprise win sent XRP screaming to $3.40, and then, just as everyone updated their moon tweets, it slammed into the $3.40 ceiling like a confused bird. 5 months of chop followed, of course. Now people on Reddit were kind of trading insults, you know, calling each other bag holders and exit liquidity, yet the sideway kind of crawl, according to Crypto Beast's analogy, is merely Act 2, chapter development before the finale. And here is another metaphor that I like. Picture a roller coaster paused at the very first incline because Jerry up front dropped his phone on the track, right? Everyone's really annoyed. The excitement kind of dips, you kind of question your life choices, then maintenance gives you the thumbs up. Then the chain kind of clanks and whoosh, screams, selfies, and hairdos ruined, right? And that's kind of where we are, right? If we're kind of in that stalled moment right now, right? Impatient riders are unbuckling, but the mechanical arms are about to push us over. Okay, let's talk about risk management, because hype without a seatbelt is just trouble in the waiting. So I want to kind of call the pizza slice approach here, right? Let's take your kind of total stack. Imagine it's a pizza, right? Pepperoni, not pineapple because we're classy, right? And of course, you cut one slice for the moonshot, another slice for the midterm holds, and the rest is just boring grown-up stuff like index funds or high-yield savings. That way, if crypto kind of nukes, you're not eating instant noodles forever, and if it moons, you're buying a pizzeria. Now, speaking of community, here's a quick reminder. We run a totally free educational Discord server. The link is down in the description. It's kind of where we nerd out over the charts, we share the news, and occasionally debate which meme coin has the cutest mascot. And yes, we keep the spam bots on a very short leash. So why don't you pop in, lurk, or chat? It's all for the love. Now, the climax, or the narrative climax, right? Imagine that we're kind of finally, breached the kind of stubborn $3.40 ceiling. The candles will start stretching like they've kind of been on a maybe Pilates retreat recently. Now, social feeds will explode with rocket emojis, YouTube thumbnails turn neon green, right? At kind of $5, right? The media outlets will call it unprecedented. Now, at $6, skeptics will claim manipulation. And somewhere around $7.50, the frantic Google searches, how to buy XRP, break record highs. Coinbase will crash for 5 minutes, and it usually does. And you can kind of practically hear plastic cards slapping against keyboards worldwide. Then, boom. Crypto beast's $8 bell rings. The air kind of feels thin. Profits are stratospheric, right? If I can even get my words out. But guess what? The ETF whispers approvals. Right? Ripple's inking deal with a top 10 bank, and the rally kind of says, hold my beer, right? The fifth Elliott wave kicks in, launches priced past $10, $12, flirts with $15 on a manic weekend. Suddenly $19, it doesn't sound absurd. It sounds penciled into fate. And this is the kind of phrase where discipline matters, right? Because take out your original investment, right? Secure a new roof for mum, maybe. Those are the victories that are larger than any price target. Around this kind of high stake carnival, you've got to keep repeating the kind of, I guess, prayer of crypto, right? Volatility is not the enemy. Unpreparedness is. Have exit plans, staggered limit sales, or at least a strategy scribbled in your phone notes app. And if you're kind of trading on Blofin, again, the affiliate link helps the channel. So set those stop limits, right? Robots don't panic sell in a flash crash, humans do. And so, where does that leave us today? Right, coffee in hand, price lounging around 220, in a kind of place I like to call the sweet spot of possibility then. Low enough to kind of feel the opportunity, high enough to kind of prove resilience. The lawsuit, cloud has mostly cleared. Macro tailwinds, they do kind of blow. Historical kind of geometry screams potential, but none of this is destiny carved into stone. It's a probability cocktail, and every sip carries risk. So if you're new, you might want to dip your toes, maybe set recurring buys so that the volatility feels less like background radio chatter, instead of kind of, thunderclaps. And if you're already riding the XRP train, double check your time horizon and your sanity budget here. And if you just here for the kind of stories, well, bless you, subscribe, because the next episode that could involve champagne pops or even Twitter meltdowns. And either way, I'm going to be here to show you. And so here's the key takeaways, right? Patience beats panic. Symmetrical triangles favor the bold yet strategic. Legal clarity, while slow, is the kind of tectonic force. And community, whether on Discord or this very comment section, it turns charts into conversation, fears into shared memes, and wins into collective high fives.